Hi, my name is Becky Beiderman. I teach 3rd grade at Morton Elementary, and today I'll be teaching WriteWell Unit 12, Session 8, and it's about conclusions to a compare and contrast essay. Good job, thank you. Okay, so we have been working on writing compare and contrast writing. We have written a lot of compare and contrast writing between the beginning of the year writing and then now that we've been writing. Today we're going to focus a little bit more on that last piece, the closing. We've worked on all the other pieces very carefully, and they're coming together really, really nicely. Now we're going to work a little bit more on the closing, but before we can do that, I want to know what we already remember about compare and contrast writing. So who can tell me some things that we already know, some amazing pieces that are really important about compare and contrast writing? Aiden?
You always need an intro and the question.
Good. Okay, so in the intro, we have a question. We answer a question, right? Okay. Answer a question. Is it any question, Aiden, or they're kind of specific questions, right?
Specific.
Okay.
Like are they found and what are they?
Where are they found? What are they? Okay, good. Emmy, what else? Good, we indent. How many times should we indent, like Emily said, in a good compare and contrast essay? 4. We should have 4 indents, because how many paragraphs is a good compare and contrast essay, Kyle? 4. It's going to be a 4 paragraph. Okay, so far we have lots of great things. Let's go off this 4 paragraph one. What's the order of the 4 paragraphs? What are those? How do those 4 paragraphs go?
Similar, differences, and the end.
Good. Intro, similar, difference, and then an ending. And again, like I said today, we're going to be focusing on that ending portion of it. To do that, though, because a good ending comes off the beginning, it goes off your lead. You're going to use part of your lead to help you write the ending. We're going to take a look at some good intros. So some of you might recognize these. These are some of our last Moss and Conifer compare and contrast essays. So if you see yours, you can give yourself a little pat. This one says, moss and conifers are plants. Moss and conifers are found in the woods. Moss and conifers are similar, but also have many differences. What do we like about this lead? What do we hear are good stuff? Amber?
It has where they're found and they're similar but also have many.
Good. So it actually answers both questions you could answer, and it has that canned sentence we love to write that helps make our intro, that 3 paragraphs we want. Moss and conifers are similar, but also have many differences. So let's look at another one. So see, we're amazing at our intros. Our intros are great. Now we're going to start taking those amazing intros that we have and turning them into great endings as well. So what do we know already about a good closing, a good conclusion, a good ending for a compare and contrast essay? What do we kind of think we know already? Okay, so we've said we want to put in one more similarity and difference. Allison?
You have to repeat it.
We're going to kind of focus our attention on the intro and the ending. So I'm going to read the intro to you. It says, fishing and hiking are both outdoor activities. This is a big part of their appeal to me. The more time I spend outside, the happier I feel. These 2 activities take different levels of energy, though. Which one will I choose? Which one I will choose depends on my mood. So that's the intro. They've told us what they're comparing. They've told us kind of a few things about them. So now their ending says, so fishing and hiking are both similar and different. I recommend both of them to anyone with a love of nature. Do we see anything in the ending that they kind of had in the beginning that we could take out? Haley?
They're talking about the same thing.
So they are still talking about fishing and hiking at the end like they are at the beginning. That's a really important one, right? Keep those same topics all the way through. What else do you notice about the intro and the ending? What do we notice? What do we like about the ending? If we wanted to add, could we add anything to this ending? It's only 2 sentences, and we know we want to shoot for 3. With someone who's right next to you just for about 10 seconds, can you think of a sentence that we could add to this one? Just lean over to this one. Okay, class.
Yes, yes.
Any volunteers for who wants to share maybe just a sentence or something we could add to get to those three sentences we like to have? Annie? We could restate our sentence. Fishing and hiking are similar, but also very different. And remember, we're going to try and kind of build on that. Instead of just restating the same thing, I kind of think that's what this sentence is sort of replaced with right here. Fishing, they're both similar. Any other ideas? Alex? Maybe give a more specific similarity or specific difference? Okay, we could do that to get another sentence in there so we have a good paragraph. What do you think?
They should give a fact about it.
Maybe give facts about them. Okay, those are great things. And I'm asking you what you would do to improve this because in a few minutes you're going to go back to your own seat and work on one of your own to improve. So we're always thinking of ways we can make those better. Let's look at one more. So again, I'm going to give you back here in just a minute your moss and conifer paper, and I want you to go through and you're going to check your intro and check your ending. So before we do that, though, we're going to have one practice run here. So moss and conifer are plants. Moss and conifer are found in the woods. Moss and conifer are similar, but also have many differences. So what I want you to do in your team real quick, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes. See if you can come up with just a couple ideas where we could write a great ending with an intro like this. Because, of course, we're going to have an intro, similar, difference, and then let's write together our ending. So take 2 minutes from right now in your team. Go ahead. I'm going to listen. Go ahead. What do you think you could say? Great. And did we use the word, because it says moss and conifer are plants and woods, so nature would fall, that would take both of those and put them in one sentence. So that would be a great first sentence. They're both part of nature. You're restating what it already said, but you're restating what you already said, but you're not saying the exact same thing. That would be a great first sentence. Go from there. Let me hear it. All right, as I walked around up front here, I heard lots of great ideas, lots of great starts to our closing paragraph. So again, our intro says moss and conifers are plants. Moss and conifers are found in the woods. Moss and conifers are similar, but also have many differences. So again, then there'd be a paragraph about similars, paragraph about differences, and now we would write our closing. So who would like to volunteer? Maybe an idea they had about the first sentence. That would be a really good first sentence for this closing. Why don't you go ahead, Justin? Okay, when I was down talking to Justin, he said moss. Whoopsie. There we go. He said moss and conifers are both found in nature. Now I told him I kind of liked this because in our intro we talked about them being plants and we talked about them being in the woods. So I kind of took the two ideas, those two questions that I answered, and lumped them into one thing and somewhat restated it, but in a different way. Moss and conifers are both found in nature. Now if this is our first, can anybody come up with maybe another sentence we could add?
Like you could say an opinion.
So we could give our opinion somehow. What could we say about moss and conifers? Your goal here is I'm going to have you read your intro to yourself. You're going to read your intro. And then you're going to go down to your, I'll be with you in just a second. Then you're going to go down to your closing. And I want you to reread your closing. Check your closing. If you want to, we can erase. You're going to edit. I want you to write a new, updated, new and improved closing using the ideas we just talked about of maybe changing it a little bit, not making it be exactly the same as it was, or coming up with some of those new ideas that you can put into your closing. Any questions on what your job is? If you have enough room to rewrite an ending right here so we can compare your old ending to your new ending, that would be great. Or if you're like Hayden and have a backside, that would be a really good idea. If you can rewrite a whole new one, that would be great. For those of you who I think did front and back, you may have to edit the paragraph you were working on, or you could always grab a scrap sheet and rewrite it as well. So if you have room, maybe leave your old one alone, and that way we can really compare the two and see what kind of improvements you've made. Colton, you need a whole new one. This is our classes work together. You need your work independently. Okay, go. Did you do your mouse and kind of writing?
I don't think I got to.
You weren't absent, though. You should have it. What I'm going to have you do, hang on. I don't have any. You'll have to use. No, you're not erasing things, honey. You're starting right here. You're not erasing anything. Since that first sentence is yours, moss and conifers are both found in nature, you can use that, but I need you to change the rest of it. So you're going to use that as your intro and change the rest, okay? So that's fine to take a minute and reread your intro and reread your ending before you try again. No, not your whole thing. No, honey, just your ending. So just your last. Conifers and moss are similar, but also many differences. Instead of just that sentence, I want you to write a new ending right here. So here's Allison's original ending, and I'll read it if that's okay, Allison. It says, one more similarity is that they are both alive. One more difference is that conifers come from a tree and moss comes from the ground. Moss and conifers are similar but also have many differences. So that's just like what we talked about in the beginning of a good way to get those 3 sentences. So it's a great ending from what we talked about before. So now that we know we want to make it a little bit more interesting and we're really going to start honing in on that ending, here's Allison's new ending. It says, they are similar and different in their own way. I like that about them. The 2 plants, I think, are unique. Moss and conifer are similar but also have many differences. So instead of hearing that repetitive, one more thing, she uses words like unique. What else do we like? How about you guys tell me, what do you like? Brett? Some better vocabulary. I hear some new vocabulary in there instead of one more. Great job. Haley, what do you like?
But also have many cool differences.
So you're going to put it in a very, very safe place in a writing folder, and then we will get ready to head out to gym. Spanish. All right, go.